Hi, I'm Erica, and welcome to Repast Downtime, where we discuss all the things we're enjoying when we're not making our own stuff. And today I want to talk about Rose Red by Stephen King. This is a mini-series from the early 2000s. I've had this DVD since it came out, and I have watched this probably 1,000 times. In fact, I was annoying my husband Robert because while we were watching it, I can recite half the movie with it. Now, I also have The Diary of Erilyn Rimbauer, My Life at Rose Red. I'm 100% in, and I'm talking about this right now because it's actually on streaming. You can get this at the time of this video, October 2023, on Hulu, and I think it's worth a watch. It is my favorite adaptation of a Stephen King story. It was specifically written to be a miniseries. And while it does suffer from some early 2000s problems, which I will get to, I think it's amazing. This did come out in, I think, 2004-ish. So it's old, y'all. So I am going to be having some spoilers. And just to let you know, there will be spoilers starting now. So, Rose Red is the story of Joyce Reardon, a woman who is a parapsychologist. Like, basically, she was a child psychologist and then got obsessed with the supernatural world and basically started going down a road where a lot of people thought she was kind of a crackpot. But she was going to go in with a group of psychics, Hell House style, and try to prove that the dead cell, Rose Red, could be woken up and prove supernatural activity. And boy, does she. So she brings in a team of people. There is a woman named Pam, who is a touch-no or a psychometrist. There is a fella named Vic, who is a psychic. Basically, he sees glimpses of the future. Precognitive. There's a guy named Emery who's a post-cognitive, which is a fancy way of saying he sees dead people. There's Nick, played by Julian Sands. I love Julian Sands. And this is, by the way, Julian Sands actually playing a good guy and not a bad guy. It's like they took him aside after Warlock and were like, right, we need that intensity, that charm, that mysticism, but be a good guy. And he's like, yeah, sign me up. So he is a psychic, and we're not 100% sure what the boundaries of his powers are, but he seems the most experienced, actually, of all the people who show up. Okay. And then there is a young girl named Annie, who basically is Carrie again. She can, like, call the stones from the sky and move things with her mind, and, like, she's amazing. But she's also nonverbal. And her sister is with her to be her caretaker. There's Stephen Rimbauer, who is actually the owner of Rose Red and is very excited to have that thing torn down in a few months. So they go in, they try to wake up Rose Red, and they definitely do. And there is some great spooky, scary haunted house action. Rose Red is set in Seattle, and I live in a different part of Washington, but I did live in Seattle for a time, and it's so funny because where they put Rose Red is pretty much like at the end of a giant road. Like, it's just plonked down in the middle of Seattle, and so it's really awkward because you get these scenes of, like, Rose Red, which is actually shot at Thornwood, which is a real mansion here in Washington State, and it's gorgeous. And then they built some sets for, like, the really weird, like, ballroom, and the mirror hallway was built there, and things like that. But basically, a lot of the outside shots are a real place, Thornwood. But it's so funny because there's, like, Rose Red, and then everyone turns around, and there's, like, a freeway and downtown Seattle and, like, the Space Needle. And it's just so strange because all these crazy things happen at Rose Red, and no cops are ever called. No one ever sees anything. Like, it just is allowed to sit there and be creepy and just feed on people's energy for, like, years. So the house had been shut up, actually, for about 20 years. And then Stephen Rimbauer decided to let Joyce, his girlfriend, basically go in the house with all these people and see what they can find. Some of my favorite parts of this movie are specifically the stories about Rose Red. There's all this history they give you at the beginning about like people dying when the house was being built and like all the terrible things that the Rimbauer family kind of went through. And actually, if that stuff interests you, definitely get The Diary of Rose Red. Stephen King wrote this, but it's so meta. He has edited by Joyce Reardon, PhD, with an afterword by Stephen Rimbauer. In no place on this book does it say it was written by Stephen King. And that is so fun to me. I love that because it kind of establishes this weird idea that it's a real place and a real thing and that Joyce and everybody were real people. So that's really fun. So there are some things that are problematic. I think that the movie needed to be longer. And yeah, I'm saying that about a 3-part miniseries because we only really get background information, a little bit about Steve, a little bit about Annie, mostly about Annie, and then very little about the other characters. And I feel like they could have been fleshed out more. There could have been more information about them because what the movie does brilliantly is it does make you care about these people and it makes you want to know more. And that more about them was not covered in the book. That's the companion to the movie, and it's not part of the movie. So I want to know who Nick is. Like, what is Nick's deal? Am I right? Like, he's the most fascinating character. And it's not just because it's Julian Sands, but that helps. But Kathy, I forgot about Kathy. Kathy's an automatic writer. She's one of the characters, and she's amazing. So, I don't know. I wanted more all around. And I think that's good storytelling, right? That's a good book. That's a good movie. That's a good miniseries, is when you want more. I definitely recommend going and trying Rose Red before it leaves Hulu. Just remember, it was the 2000s. Some of the effects are a little funky. Some of the costume makeup of like the zombie people are a little funky. Some of the one-liners are in there. It's the early 2000s. But if you excuse that, it's a fantastic haunted house movie, and it's perfect for right now. It's perfect for spooky season or any time of year. We actually last night just started rewatching Salem's Lot, specifically the Rob Lowe one, because that is my other favorite Stephen King thing. So what's your favorite Stephen King thing? And have you seen Rose Red? And what did you think? Have you read the book that's its companion? Let me know down below, and we'll talk to you soon.